Another 10 questions for your PMI-ACP exam preparation. This video will talk about question number 61 till question number 70. I am focusing on leadership domain in these 10 questions. Let's start with question number 61. During the last sprint retrospective, your team faced communication gaps leading to delayed deliverables. Using a data collection tool, the team inputs the following detail: key successes, timely completion of critical user story, like that. As an example, challenges, lack of fear, ownership for a certain task, and lesson, importance of assigning task ownership upfront. That is something they picked up. How can a generative AI improve further retrospective based on this input? Yeah. So you have collected the data, you have three kind of data, and you have some understanding of what was the overall challenge, what was the success, and what are the lesson learned. Now, what your generative AI can do in this particular context. Yeah. So say you can expect the reference of AI in the exam because it is pretty much visible in your content. Yeah, when you are preparing for PMI-ACP from a PMI content, it is pretty much visible. Over a period of time, exam is expected to include these kind of elements as well. But don't afraid, it is just like term. You can easily look into the option and you can find out what possibly generative AI can do for me. Option A, by auto-generating task ownership assignment for future sprints. So you don't want to give a control to AI to assign ownership. Yeah. Though the retrospective was talking about that, yes, there was an issue of ownership, but AI engine cannot handle it, or generative AI should not be doing that particular job. So I can ignore that. By identifying team members responsible for delay and automating notification, uh, you can definitely do some kind of data analysis, but members responsible for delay and sending a notification for them for a generative AI, little more. Yeah. Option C, by summarizing historical challenges and suggesting proactive measures. Looks easy. Yeah, looks clear because this is more about knowledge sharing. This is more about data gathering, and it's more about analyzing it and suggesting, not necessarily taking decision directly. Yeah. So option C looks good. By creating project plan based on previous successes. Yeah, you can recommend some plans, but it is not just saying recommend. It is saying just you will prepare a plan based on the good idea. So if I have to use based on the elimination, I will use option C. And in general, you will find the reference of generative AI used in the content, basically for data interpretation, knowledge sharing, and predicting some kind of trend and coming up as a suggestion tool for making the content accessible and usable to your agile team. So option C is a good option in case of question number 61. Map to leadership, promoting knowledge sharing, and using a good tool to make the knowledge sharing easy. Question number 62. Management is hesitant to allocate resources for establishing a community of practice within your organization, citing concerns about cost and effort. As a leader committed to driving organization growth and efficiency, you aim to convince them by emphasizing the strategic value of community of practices. Which statement best highlight the value of community of practices to address the management concern? In a simple word, this question is just asking you, can you find out of four which one represent community of practice well? That's it. Yeah. So I just need to find a nice statement which represents COP. Option A, community of practice enhances employee engagement by fostering a sense of belonging. Yes, it creates a group. It makes people feel belonging. Reduces project risk through shared lesson learned. It helps in knowledge sharing. That's the one of the critical purpose. And ensure consistent application of best practices across teams. I would say it facilitates, but it's a good option. I won't say ensure consistent application. Team member will ensure the consistent application of good ideas. And again, best practices are not necessarily best for everyone, but it ensured availability and sharing of best practices. That's a good statement, but it's a candidate idea. If we don't get any good one, we will go with it. Option B, community of practices requires time investment only from Scrum Masters. Take time to show results, rely solely on volunteering participation, and all activities occurs outside office hours. So there could be few truth and a lot of thing not ideally right. So community of practices, not necessarily only involving Scrum Master. You may have a Scrum Master community of practice, but the question was not saying so. And it is not, there is a possibility of some community practices are volunteering participation, but not using people's outside office time. Definitely, it has to be allocated from the office time only. So I ignore option B. Option C, community of practice focuses on training individuals. Possibly yes. Reduce the need of formal training programs. Possibly no, yeah, because they will train, but you may need a formal training program beyond that as well. Help standardization processes, yeah, and streamline the audit procedure. So not necessarily audit procedure is a basic focus area, but can be, yeah, not necessarily we can rule out. But it has a negative word which says it reduces the need for formal training program. That is not a right thing. Option D, community of practices encourages informal collaboration to solve real-time challenges with the primary objective of driving continuous innovation. Yeah. So not necessarily the primary objective of continuous innovation. If you use that word, then you may use like community of excellence or center of excellence, COE kind of thing may fit well in the option D. But the community of practice is more like collaboration, sharing, and learning. Maybe involves some amount of innovative activity as well, but it's not the primary focus of community of practice. So that way, option A represent a better approach. It has a little word ensuring, which could have been improved further. But you can expect such kind of words in the options because you need to pick up the best option in your PMI-ACP exam. So option A, it talks about increasing engagement, making people feel motivated, reduces the risk because of continuous lesson learn, helping us to have applicability and uses of the good practices from different team. That all comes under community of practices. Yeah, if you learn the content, it comes under promote knowledge sharing. So when you go to leadership task in your exam preparation content, which you might have used from the PMI workbook, you will see this reference coming under promoting knowledge sharing. So there's the task 3 of your leadership domain. Question number 63. Your project management team leverages generative AI to archive lesson learned in a centralized knowledge repository. The AI categorize insights based on their relevance to project stages. Which feature of a generative AI ensures the repository remains practical and beneficial for the future projects? So better management of content, better presentation of content, better searching of the content, better retrieval of the content, all these is a good idea. Yeah. So option A, automate deletion of the older version or of the saved storage. Yeah, not necessary. Option B, categorize and tagging for easy retrieval and relevant lesson. Yes, good idea. Option C, generating project plan for upcoming projects. Not. Securing historical lessons to prevent modification. Data security is not necessarily that a part of your generative AI's thing. So option B makes it clear, easy choice. You basically focus on organizing, facilitating retrieval, for facilitating connection between various ideas, facilitating the knowledge sharing. That's the major focus you should put when you are dealing with the PMI-ACP exam, because the generative AI you will see more coming under the task which promotes knowledge sharing. So option B is the answer in this particular case, map to the task promote knowledge sharing. Question number 64. Your organization is evaluating the role of a project management office, PMO, and its impact on project success. Stakeholders are debating whether the PMO contribution justify its continued support. Which statement best describe the core contribution of a PMO to an organization? So like a community of practice, this question is focusing on PMO now. So we just need to find out of 4 statements, which statement represents the PMO well. Option A PMO enforces compliance, mitigate risk, and standardize processes across all projects. It looks like a directive PMO. It's possible, but in general, especially in the Agile PMI-ACP context, I may not take this enforcement as a word. I will take PMO more as a facilitative. I won't take PMO as a directive PMO by default. A PMO centralizes decision making, minimize the need of team level planning. Not a good idea, because we want to have autonomy. We want to have people who are expected to execute the work planning their work. That's a basic mindset I need to keep in mind as a leader. Plan will be made by the executor of the plan, not by someone else, and execution done by someone else. Not a good idea. So I rule out that. Option C, a PMO focuses on talent development through formal training programs and enforce strict adherence to the project timeline. PMO definitely can do a training related activity, but not strict adherence to a project timeline. That is directive PMO, not usually in the agile world. Option D, a PMO enhances project management capabilities. Yes. Align work with the organization's strategic goal through stakeholder collaboration. Yes. And ensure value realization from project investments. Good idea. Yeah. So out of four options, the D option looks good as a role of a PMO in the organization where agile mindset, where growth mindset, where collaboration, where autonomy is promoted. So we go with option D if we are answering the PMI-ACP exam question for a PMO role. So promote knowledge sharing. The PMO can help you in doing that. Question number 65. A developer on your agile team expresses a strong desire to transition into a business analysis role to better align with their career aspiration or career goals. However, this movement might create resource gap and impact the current release progress. How should you handle this situation? So we understand release could be a collection of iterations. Yeah. So this question is basically talking about release. And while having a conversation with the developer said, I want to get into business analysis. And you understand this can create a little problem for you because this guy was contributing for the release. How should you handle it? So the point which we are trying to learn here is I need to help people to get multi skills. I need to support learning and growth. I do care for people. I can't just avoid my team members' wishes. Not a good idea as a leader. At the same time, I also care for my delivery as well. So I do want to make sure that this thing should not be impacting to my delivery goals. Yeah, so that's a balancing approach. If given in an option, we will go with that. Okay, so option A, allow the developer to immediately transition to the business analysis role and redistribute their current tasks to other team members. First thing is this guy is not yet ready for business analysis. He has to learn. Yeah, for that the thing. Second, it may have a more impact if I'm acting now itself, 100% action. So maybe it will disturb my release plan further. So I keep it little aside. Option B, delay the developer's transition until the current release is completed and plan for their knowledge transfer. So this one is okay, but what we are missing here is I'm not respecting the person's opinion. I'm saying let's wait for a one release and then you need to transition your developer work and then we'll move forward. Not a bad idea in general, but if it can have an option talking about how during this time I will grow you so that you will be ready by the next release. That part is needed here. Let's see if we have that part in other options. Option C, encourage the developer to start shadowing the business analyst role part-time during the current release and support their growth into a multi-skilled professional. That looks balanced one. We are saying, okay, you start building, but in the current release and you will develop the skill and then we'll see how we move forward. Looks good idea because I'm appreciating the concern and I'm not jumping to disturb my current release goals as well. Option D, ask the developer to focus solely on the current task since the release is critical until the replacement is hired. So this is definitely the most negative answer. I would say if I say this is the least preferred thing which project manager should do out of four. Yeah. I can't say, you just, I don't care about what you want, just get it done and I will find some replacement, then I will release you from this job. Not a good idea. So definitely you want to go with option C. For a mindset perspective, you understand option D is the most least preferred one in this particular case. A is too fast, not helping that the person to build it. Option B is saying, let's not talk about it, let's talk later. Yeah. So if I don't have an option C, then I probably go with option B. Yeah, that seems to be okay. But I have a better one, so I go with option C in this particular case. So again, leadership, promoting knowledge sharing, growing people as a T-shaped professionals. We dearly want to care for our people. Yeah, that's the leadership attitude. I should be growing my team members. Question number 66. Your project is transitioning from a traditional waterfall approach to agile. The team is facing challenges adapting to iterative delivery, self-organization, and embracing change. With some team members are hesitant about the new process, Other are eager but unsure how to apply agile principles effectively. As the project manager, you need to guide the team through the transition. So what should be your approach? What should you take to help the team adapt to agile effectively? Okay. So what is the situation? Situation is the team is new. Yeah, and your company is focusing on agile way of working. They are finding it challenging to do incremental development and be self-organized. And some are excited. Yeah, that's also an input. So what do I do as a project leader? Good idea. Let's see. Yeah, good combination. So I should be supporting my team for a knowledge transitioning. That's something we are looking for. I should be having some tolerance for the failure. That is something I'm looking for. I may do more extra handholding because team is new. So I may focus on training, mentoring. So these are the elements. If I get in the option, I will like it. Option A, conduct regular training sessions on agile principles, encourages team retrospectives to identify areas of improvement, and provide coaching on self-organization. I like all the ideas. These all ideas are relevant in this particular case of the question. Good. Option B, strictly enforce adherence to agile framework by involving yourself in a day-to-day task and holding them team members accountable for compliance. So say even if you want to follow and transition to agile, I need to respect individuals' opinion and I need to apply growth mindset. Following agile strictly and enforcing agile strictly itself is not agile. Yeah. So as a leader, I should not get confused when I'm seeing this word. Oh, this is saying let's focus on agile as it is. Yeah. And just get it done. Not a good idea. I need to have a collaborative approach. Retrospective. I need to learn. If someone has a difference of opinion, I will say, okay, explain it. We'll probably find out something which is suitable for our project delivery. Ignore. Yeah. Option B, ignored. Option C, focus on delivering outputs during the initial sprints, minimizing delivery deviation, and demonstrate value by delivering working software. Can be done, but it is not a people approach. It is saying, let's show the result and results will speak. We don't want to talk about what do we do, how do we do, let's get to the action. Yeah. Little more aggressive approach. We need to focus on relations, we need to build trust, we need to make people comfortable. Else I might become a micromanager and I am running the show to produce the delivery in this particular option C. Option D, assign a senior team leader member to oversee the transition, prioritize quick wins, and discourage deviation from predefined agile processes. So, two negative things. I don't want to make anyone dependent. I want to have a leadership style where team grows as a self-organizing team. Second, here we are using a little soft word, discourage deviation from predefined agile process. So it is not strict, yeah, but still it has a discouragement which may not be fruitful for bringing innovative ideas. So option A looks great. I will conduct training. I will focus on retrospective. I let my team come up with their own processes. I will guide them, coach them, and we will drive the improvement together. Option A. So this one is mapped to promote agile mindset, principles, and practices. So many a time when people ask, do I need to memorize agile principles? I would say most likely not. But if I really understand agile principles, I will get probably most of the questions right. Yeah. But we need to understand which behavior, when we see the option, is as per the agile principles, and which behavior is something which is not matching with the agile principle. If we get that idea, our task of promoting agile mindset and principles and practices will go fast, and it will also help you to get other questions right for a PMI-ACP exam. Question number 67. Your team has been tasked with adopting agile practices, but some senior team members are resistant, citing concern about lack of structural planning and predictability compared to the waterfall approach. Yeah. So again, transitioning thing, and people are resistance because you don't know what is happening. I don't know when the release will happen, when this project will finish. We can't have a clear milestone. I'm confused. This is not a good idea. That's the thing. You might be hearing that in your work environment also many a time. Option A, strictly enforce agile practices and ensure adherence to the agile approach. You know that these kind of options are not good. Yeah. Option B, delay the agile transition until all team members feels fully comfortable continuing with the current approach in the meantime. I can do that, but in this delay, I have to do something. Yeah. Rather than saying let's delay it, maybe you can say let's train it and then we adapt it. just delay is not the solution. There is a possibility we may replan our transitioning activity. So I don't like the word delay. Option C, hold one-on-one discussion to understand their concerns. Yeah, few team members, senior team members. Okay, I can talk about them because senior team members has a concern. Share real world example for agile success stories. I'm selling the idea and actively involve them in a planning the agile transition. All good ideas. So it is saying, let me listen to them. I need to hear the concerns. Then only I can probably do something about it. I will share some success stories. I will share some wins and I will talk together to find out how do we move forward. All good elements. Option D, assign resistant team members less critical tasks to minimize their impact on the agile transition. You can say, let's isolate these guys. You don't do that. Yeah, you don't alienate the resistant. Yeah, so we need to go with an approach. If someone is resisting to an idea, we appreciate their concern. We do care. They really care about the work. At least they are speaking out. But we need to work collaboratively to resolve these things. Yeah. So option C, conversation. It has conversation, individual interaction. It has collaborative working. It has factual data coming from success stories. So we can go with option C. So agile mindset, promoting agile mindset and practices, that's the task we are mapping this question to. Question number 68. The team is struggling to adapt to deliver in smaller increment. They are accustomed to long-term planning and feel overwhelmed by the expectation of producing potentially shippable increment every sprint. As a result, you observe missed deadline and incomplete user story in the first few iterations. What should you do to help the team to adapt to iterative development or iterative delivery? Many a time I get this feedback when I teach Agile to my PMP students, especially those who are not yet aware of Agile. And they feel, how can you produce something usable, reviewable at the end of a time box? You need little more time. And it looks very stressful also. So that's the situation which is mentioned here. People are not familiar with this and they are feeling too much stressed out of it. How do you handle that? Yeah. Option A, provide training to the Scrum Masters on splitting work into smaller tasks and allocate them to the team member to reduce feeling of stress, overwhelmed. Yeah. So yes, you can do that. Yeah. So people will not feel too much stressed. But what is the problem? Planning should be done by the people who are executing the work. The task should be created by the team. Why don't want to have any blocker like a scrum master creating the tasks? Yeah. So I need to get to the people, not intermediary. Remove option A. Option B, extend the sprint duration to allow the team member more time to complete their task without reducing the requiring the smaller increments. So say sprint duration is definitely can be changed. Yeah, there's a possibility. It's not like that it is an irrelevant option. But let's see if we have a mechanism to understand what is going on more holistically rather than we jump to a particular solution only. Yeah. So sprint duration allow them time to complete their task without requiring smaller increments. You can say, yeah, give them a little more time. So you still need to do a desired increment. The sprint duration from a Scrum perspective cannot go beyond 30 days. Yeah, so that's a general recommendation. But yeah, if the question says they are 2 weeks, they can go to 3 weeks. That's a possible. But let's see other options as well. Option C, continue running sprints but reduce the frequency of sprint review, conducting demos every 2 sprints to avoid exposing incomplete work. So more or less like option B. You're saying, guys, let's do a sprint 1, sprint 2, and only after sprint 2 we will give a demo. Then again we will do a sprint 3, sprint 4. Only after sprint 4 we will give a demo. Yeah. So that way you will have a 2 sprints to finish the work. Indirectly, you have increased the sprint duration. Yeah. And the whole idea of sprint, the way we need to learn is it's a complete exploration cycle. We need to finish all elements which help us in exploring the work. So it should include plan, doing, checking, and acting. It is not like only doing but not doing, checking and acting, not taking inspect and adapt feedback. We need to take a feedback at the end of the sprint. So not a good idea. Option D, provide training to the teams on breaking work into smaller, manageable, value-added piece. So creating a smaller user story. But what is training to the team, not to the Scrum Master? Good idea. Encouraging collaboration during sprint planning and celebrate small wins to build confidence. Great. Looks like great idea. So It is matching with A, but it is removing the Scrum Master in between. A was focusing on task. D is focusing on stories, valuable work, not just execution. So creating small items, ensuring that we also celebrate success, build confidence, mentor them is a good thing to do. So you go with option D. Question number 69. During the transition to Agile, you notice that stakeholders are not actively engaged in sprint review. With minimal attendance, upon discussing with them, they mention not having time and view the review as a primarily for the product owner and the team. Yeah, how should you address this situation? Now, some of you will say, no problem. Anyway, product owner is part of the review. So from an agile mindset practitioner, I want stakeholder feedback coming in the review. Product owner was anyway with us throughout the sprint/iteration. So we do want to encourage and involve them rather than we find some middleman for it. Yeah. So I need to handle this problem. Let's see. Option A. Proceed without stakeholder involvement and rely on team to make decisions about priorities and deliverable. The sprint or iteration is a complete exploration cycle. If you don't learn at the end of an iteration cycle by taking the feedback, then your goals are not achieved. Not a good idea. Option B, limit stakeholder participation to milestone review instead of attending each sprint reviews. There is a possibility some stakeholder will only come at a milestone review. There's a possibility. But in this context, looks like the problem was people are not attending and you are saying it's okay, you can attend on a milestone review. What is happening is I'm delaying the feedback. In a general manner, each iteration review is the milestone which I am focusing on. A sprint review is the milestone which I am focusing on. So I want people to part of sprint review only. Option C, collaborate with the stakeholder to define and communicate how the input required during the sprint review contribute to the project success. Great. Yeah. So I will sell the idea and importance of their participation in the review, stakeholder engagement. Ensure the reviews are focused and relevant to the concern. Also increase the quality of the review and make sure that reviews are understood and appreciated by the stakeholder. Looks good. Yeah. Option C is good. Option D, reduce the frequency of sprint review to accommodate stakeholder availability, consolidate them into a monthly session. So it is like, yes, you can probably think of increasing the sprint length. Yeah. But even after that, people may not come because the issue was that the stakeholder feels it's a product owner and team's issue, and we don't have time for all this. So both thing, time as well as we don't think importance of it. So option C is giving me a better idea, yeah, which takes care of importance, communication, and continuous feedback rather than I quickly settle down for delay in feedback. Yeah? So that way I go with option C in this particular case. These questions will help you in developing the right mindset, which will help you for product and delivery domain as well. It is just not about the leadership domain. Yeah. So you are promoting agile mindset principles and practices. The mindset of continuous exploration, mindset of delivering things frequently, not to delay, focusing on working software as a measurement of progress. So all those mindset has to be followed. Question number 70. The team is struggling to self-organize, relying on instruction and approval rather than taking ownership of task. This is causing delays and bottlenecks in the progress. What should you do? Yeah. Many a time, you as an agile leader will face this problem. People want to know the instruction from you only. They don't want to self-organize themselves. So how should you handle that? Option A, assign clear roles and responsibility to team members and enforce strict adherence to them. Then you are making this problem permanent. They will always come to you. You can say, I am the guy who will tell who does what. Not a good idea. Option B, facilitate workshop on self-organizing, set clear expectation, and gradually reduce top-down directive to help them build confidence. Great. So initially, the option B is saying initially you may give some directive, but you gradually reduce it and you are focusing on self-organizing. Good idea. Option C, implement a top-down decision-making process until the team demonstrate readiness for self-organizing. So it's a little dilution of A and it is little strongness of B without giving idea. So I can't just wait. I say, I will keep giving instruction till the time these guys are ready. I need to do something to make these guys ready. That's the idea in the option B. Option C is just hoping they will get ready. So option B is anyway a good idea. Option D, allowing the team to struggle and achieve self-organization on their own, setting a clear target to encourage autonomy. This option in some of the agile framework in the exam may look like a right option. There is a possibility. Yeah, some you might have done some exams where this kind of approach is there. I will not going to intervene. I will let teams struggle and they have to do a self-organizing. Yeah, that's a possibility. But for a PMI-ACP exam, you are a leader, you are a caretaker, you are a facilitator. You need to make the process smooth. You can't just let them struggle on their own. Yeah. So don't go too extreme where you can say, this is self-organizing team. What do I do? They have to solve their own problem. You are there to solve their problem. So that way you go with option B. Option B for question number 70. Again, focusing on the mindset, principles, and practices. So we explored the two leadership tasks in this particular section. Hopefully, it helped you in developing some mindset for leadership domain. If you need specific assistance for your PMI-ACP preparation, you can connect with us. I do run PMI-ACP classes to help participants to get ready for the exam.